Each year, dragons, drums and dances paraded through Hester Street to East Broadway through Canal Street to usher in the new Lunar Year in Big Apple, New York, the metropolis with the biggest population of Chinese descent outside Asia. In this last episode of our Lunar New Year in New York series, I want to bring you to Manhattan's Chinatown to know more about the history, the current vitality, and behind the scene of the parade and festival. Some marchers sported cheerful pink pig mask atop a traditional Chinese garb of embroidered silk. Others played drums, banged gongs, and held aloft big gold and red dragons on sticks, snaking the creatures along the routes. Someone in cosplay costume marched with a clutch of well-known children's characters. Chinese songs titled Hey Fat Choy mixed with bagpipers was played non-stop, while a police band performed 76 trombones from the classic musical The Music Man. Among the lineup were Mayor Bill de Blasio and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. The lunar calendar is centered on the cycles of the moon and begins in January or February. An animal is associated with every year in the 12-year astrological cycle. While some paradegoers were familiar with the Chinese zodiac, others said they were just there to enjoy the cultural spectacle or partake in a sense of auspicious beginning. This New York tradition of going to Chinatown to celebrate a moment of rebirth, reconciliation, reverence, and jubilation did not just start in the past 2 decades. It's as old as the history of Asian immigration. Times Square is commonly known as the focal point for the world's reflection on a new solar calendar year. But to many people's surprise, the Lunar New Year has been celebrated in Chinatown since before there was even a Times Square. The celebration has been at the bedrock of the Asian experience in New York. But in the 19th century, the customs of the season were met with curiosity, bewilderment, and sometimes harsh disapproval. In the 1850s, the Cantonese immigrants who worked for gold mines and railroad companies in search of a better life wanted to share their culture with others and blended their traditions with the Western ones. In 1858, for the first time, they held a carnival-like event with flags, banners, lanterns, drums, and firecrackers in San Francisco. After the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, due to the hostile sentiment against Chinese on the West Coast, lots of immigrants flocked into East Coast cities and further developed the parade in New York style. Held for approximately 2 weeks following the first day of the Lunar New Year, this largest Asian cultural event in North America combines elements of the Lantern Festival with a typical American parade. Back in 1900s, the majority of Asians chose to spend the Lunar New Year with their families instead of partaking a parade. However, a legislation in 1902 made all Chinese immigration permanently illegal, and as a result, many immigrants did not have families to celebrate the New Year with. These people, mostly lonely young men, took to the street and joined the parade. In 1930, New Yorkers of different ethnicities came together to enjoy the line dance and kung fu performances, even though they were in the middle of the Great Depression. In 1999, the Mandarin-speaking nations started their own version of the New Year parade in Flushing, Chinatown. But to this day, the parade in Manhattan, Chinatown is still the center of the spotlight every year. 150 years on, it was named as one of New York's top parades after Macy's Thanksgiving and Gay Pride. The majority of the march is composed of clubs and associations of people from different regions. Highlights of the parade include floats, line dances, elementary school groups in costume, marching bands, street walkers, Chinese acrobats, and a golden dragon, which is considered the grand finale of the parade. Observers can expect to hear hundreds of thousands of firecrackers and are advised to bring earplugs. Every year there are dragons and beauty queens, expensive cars and politicians, corporate floats, and scores of very flexible children performing martial arts. While some costumes are simple, many others have traveled all the way from China to Chinatown. A maxi dress with floral embroidery and linear traditional design could cost around $88 US. Drums and gongs overpowered the voices of about 70,000 participants of the parade. In 2018, 50,000 people took part in the parade. The crowd size was 40% bigger in 2019. The president of Better Chinatown, Hui Ming-ao, analyzed that the sunnier weather and the President Day holiday contributed to the bigger turnout. The zodiac pig, symbolizing happiness and joy of getting together, is traditionally met with good cheer. With over 450,000 Chinese Americans in New York, the celebration of such a big event took months of preparation. Participants often have to wait for up to 2 hours before marching, even though the parade itself lasts for only 2.5 hours. The 30-member organizing committee has been working since September to get ready for this day. 500 volunteers, many of them high school students, helped keep the atmosphere festive, offering little flags and red envelopes to people. About 10 others updated each other about the parade's progress through walkie-talkies continuously. The parade started at 1 p.m. sharply, and by 2:45, the cleaning services had arrived already. The ladies in blue of Toishan Friendship Association were on their way to lunch. The merchants of Moss Street were wiping their stores' entrances, and members of the parade staff wearing fluorescent green vests were blowing confetti off the pavement. There you go, another year has started. It's time to work. Saisu China America Radio, Chinatown, New York.